Hello friends, I'm here to tell you a relaxing story which lead you to sleep with sweet dreams. Let's start our new story. The Myth of Atlantis. There was a village by the sea where time moved slower than the wind and the days seemed to melt into one another like waves folding into sand. The air always smelled faintly of salt and jasmine, and in the evenings the whole world turned to gold as the sun dipped lazily into the ocean. In that village lived an old sailor named Elior, whose hair had turned silver with the sea's stories. He had sailed far and wide, yet his most treasured tales were the ones he told by the fire, with eyes that sparkled like morning tide. But his favorite tale was the one he always spoke of in hushed tones, the Myth of Atlantis. Many in the village thought Elior's tales were no more than bedtime stories for children, woven from too many nights at sea. But there was one traveler, quiet, curious, and tired from years of wandering, who listened closely. The traveler had come from distant lands, searching not for treasure or glory, but for something far more elusive: rest, true rest. The kind that doesn't come from sleeping under soft sheets, but the kind that cradles the spirit and hushes even the deepest ache within the soul. Each night, the traveler would sit on the smooth rocks by the shore, where Elior would appear with a lantern and settle beside them. The sea would murmur between their silences, and then, almost as if the wind itself prompted him, Elior would speak. "They say," he began one evening, his voice worn like sea glass, "that beneath the waves, past the reach of any compass or chart, lies a city that dreams, Atlantis, not lost, not ruined, just dreaming." The traveler closed their eyes, letting the voice drift into their mind like a lullaby. They built it in harmony with the ocean. Elior continued, "Not against it. The walls breathed with the tide, the streets sang with the currents. The people there didn't speak much. They listened to the sea, to the stars, and to one another. They were quiet, not because they had nothing to say, but because they felt everything too deeply to rush their words. The waves lapped gently at the rocks, as if agreeing. Elior turned his eyes to the horizon. Some say it sank in a single day. Others say it vanished in silence, choosing to return to the sea. But me, I believe Atlantis is still there, beneath the surface, sleeping, waiting to be dreamed of." That night, long after the lantern had dimmed and Elior's footprints had faded from the shore, the traveler lingered. The wind was soft, and the stars above blinked slowly, like eyes beginning to close. A strange drowsiness settled over them, not the kind that pulls you into sleep quickly, but the kind that gently rocks you there, like a boat on still waters. The traveler lay back on the sand, the cool earth beneath them, the sky a dome of velvet above. The hush of the sea played like a lullaby. Somewhere between the waking world and the world of dreams, they felt something stir, an echo, soft and far, like a memory not yet made. It was a whisper, not from the wind, nor from the waves, but from something deeper, older, as though the ocean itself remembered Atlantis, as though the sea longed for someone to remember it too. And so, as the traveler's breath slowed, and the stars wheeled silently overhead, the whisper carried them gently into sleep. Not the heavy sleep of exhaustion, but the light, floating sleep of those who drift into forgotten dreams. In that dream, the sea glowed beneath the moon, and far in the distance, something shimmered. A silhouette rising from the depths, elegant and silent, towers of pearl and light, gardens lit by stars, the forgotten city waiting. The traveler did not stir, even as a chill breeze swept over the dunes. They were far away now, deeper than slumber, floating between breath and memory. And beneath the waves, Atlantis stirred, softly, slowly, as if sensing it had been remembered again. And the whisper continued, lulling all things to rest. The dream deepened. The traveler found themselves standing at the edge of a vast glowing sea, not the one they knew, but something altogether different. The waves here were soft as silk, and they shimmered with an inner light, as if the moon had melted into the water itself. The sky above was a gentle indigo, speckled with stars that pulsed like quiet heartbeats. Everything felt hushed, slow, and safe. Far across the glimmering horizon, something began to rise. It emerged not with thunder or force, but with stillness, as if the sea itself had opened a door to reveal a memory. A great island of light drifted upward, its towers catching the soft glow of the stars, its gardens blooming in colors the traveler had no names for. This was Atlantis, not as ruin or wreckage, but whole, untouched, eternal. It shimmered like a mirage, yet felt more real than anything the traveler had ever seen. They stepped forward, and suddenly, as in all dreams, they were there. The streets beneath their feet were made of crystal, not cold or sharp, but warm and smooth, humming with an energy that felt like a lullaby. Each step was silent. Gentle breezes carried the scent of unknown blossoms, floral, sweet, and ancient. Trees with translucent leaves rustled like wind chimes, and the sound was so calming it slowed the traveler's thoughts, like a song they once heard in childhood, but forgot until now. The city was quiet, not deserted, but serene. Its people moved slowly, gracefully, as though they were walking through water or wrapped in a gentle sleep. They wore robes of pale colors, silver, blue, rose gold, that flowed behind them like mist. They nodded at the traveler with soft smiles and eyes that seemed to carry the calm of 1,000 years. The traveler wandered through the glistening city, not seeking anything in particular, just taking it in. There were no carts, no noise, no rush. The Atlanteans moved as one with the city, and the city moved as one with the sea. At the edge of a curved stone path, the traveler paused to watch a fountain, but this was no ordinary fountain. It flowed upward, like water rising in reverse. Tiny droplets hovered in mid-air before falling again, like slow rain. The sound of the water was not splashing, but singing, each drop chiming softly, harmonizing with the wind. The tune was faint, but it called to something deep inside. As the traveler continued, they entered a great garden, nestled between crystal buildings. Flowers the size of lanterns opened and closed with the rhythm of the tide. Vines danced slowly in the air, untethered by gravity, curling around marble pillars in elegant spirals. Birds with feathered tails that shimmered like ribbons soared silently overhead, leaving trails of silver behind them. At the center of the garden stood a tree. It was taller than the towers, yet its presence was gentle. Its bark was white as snow, and its leaves glowed gold and blue, changing colors with each passing breeze. The traveler approached and placed a hand on its trunk. Instantly, a calm unlike any other washed over them. It wasn't just peace, it was remembering how to breathe slowly, how to rest without fear, how to be. The Atlanteans sat beneath the tree, eyes closed, breathing with the wind. They did not speak, but somehow their silence said everything. It welcomed the traveler like a soft blanket, like the hush before dawn. The city seemed to whisper, "You are safe. you are seen. You may rest here." The travelers sat too, and let the hush of the city wrap around them. For a long while, they simply existed. No past, no future, just the now, the quiet breath of a forgotten world cradling their spirit. Above them, stars turned slowly. Below, the city glowed like a dream made of light and memory. And in that moment, Atlantis was not a myth. It was a feeling, a lull, a rhythm, a hidden part of the soul remembered only when we are still enough to hear it. As the dream softened around the traveler, and their eyes began to close within the dream itself, Atlantis held them, and the city, ever gentle, ever quiet, continued to glow. The dream deepened yet again, like a feather drifting lower into sleep's warm embrace. As the traveler wandered further into the heart of Atlantis, they began to sense a stillness even greater than before, an almost sacred hush that floated on the air like a mist. The wind softened, the light dimmed gently, turning from golden to a soft lavender hue, like twilight gently settling over the soul. Before them rose a structure unlike any they had yet seen. It was not towering or grand in the way of palaces. It didn't demand attention or announce itself with extravagance. Instead, it seemed to emerge from the very earth itself, quiet, humble, and impossibly serene. Its white stone walls curved with the natural flow of the land, and its domed roof shimmered with the light of the sea, reflecting soft blues and silvers. Carvings of waves and constellations rippled gently across its surface, as if sculpted by time itself. At its entrance stood no guards, no gates, only a gentle stream of water that flowed under a smooth bridge, humming softly as it passed. The traveler stepped across and felt the hum travel up through their feet and into their heart, as though the building recognized their arrival and greeted them not with words, but with calm. Inside, the air was cool and still, as if it had never been disturbed by anything but quiet breathing. The temple was open, circular, with no walls to enclose it, only pillars carved from shimmering crystal that reached upward like the limbs of trees. Between them, flowing curtains of sheer fabric fluttered in the breeze, catching the light like moonlit silk. The floor was made of polished stone so smooth it reflected the sky, and in the center lay a shallow pool, its surface perfectly still. Around the pools sat Atlanteans, each in quiet meditation, their eyes closed, their posture peaceful. Their presence did not feel like solitude, but like togetherness in its most tender form. The traveler felt no need to speak, no desire to question. The silence spoke volumes. They walked barefoot to the edge of the pool and sat, legs crossed, allowing their fingers to trail through the cool water. It made the softest ripple, and with it came a sensation so gentle, so pure. It was like being touched by sleep itself. An elder Atlantean approached, their movements fluid and unhurried. Their eyes were kind, ageless, and filled with the stillness of oceans. With a small gesture, they invited the traveler to join the meditation. The traveler nodded and closed their eyes. There were no chants, no rituals, just breathe, inhale, slow and deep, exhale, slower still. The traveler felt their body sink, not downward, but inward. Their thoughts slowed, like leaves drifting across a calm pond. The noise that had followed them through their waking life, the mental chatter, the memories, the restless desires, began to fade into the background, replaced by a vast, quiet space inside. Time dissolved. There was only breath, only presence. And then something beautiful began to emerge, not from outside, but from within. Images drifted gently into their awareness. A child laughing under a tree, a starry sky watched from a rooftop, the sound of someone once loved, humming a song from long ago. Not painful memories, but softened, smoothed by the balm of time and peace. In the temple, these moments felt like pieces of Atlantis itself, memories not lost, but stored in the soul's deeper chambers, waiting to be felt again without sorrow. The traveler sat for what felt like hours, or perhaps only minutes. There was no way to tell. The pool mirrored the sky above and the heart within. The Atlanteans remained still, breathing with the rhythm of the dream. And then, slowly, softly, the elder Atlantean placed a warm hand on the traveler's shoulder, not to wake them, not to end the silence, but to anchor them gently in the moment. The traveler opened their eyes, not startled, but renewed. The world looked the same, but something inside had changed. A quiet had been planted there, deep and steady. They stood and bowed gently to the temple and to the elder, who returned the bow with a small, knowing smile. And as the traveler stepped outside into the lavender twilight, they carried the stillness of the temple of tranquility within them, a light that would never go out, no matter how deep the night became. The traveler wandered onward, cradled by the silence of Atlantis, like a child rocked gently to sleep. With each step, the air grew warmer and the colors of the city grew deeper, no longer glowing silver and pearl, but now tinged with soft indigo, rose gold, and sea green, as if twilight had painted a world in lullaby tones. Eventually they came to a slope of smooth, curved stone that descended gently into the earth. A soft blue mist curled around the path like silk ribbons, and from far below there was music, not sharp or loud, but a low and haunting hum, like whales singing in the distance or stars humming in the dark. The traveler followed the sound without fear, each note tugging gently at their heart, as if it knew their name and was calling them home. The path opened into a vast cavern beneath Atlantis, glowing with a light that had no source, as if the walls themselves remembered the sun. At the center of the cavern was a great lake, so still it looked like a sheet of liquid glass. The water was impossibly clear, showing luminous stones beneath its surface that pulsed with soft colors, blues, greens, silvers, and occasional sparks of gold. And the music, oh the music, it came from the lake itself. The traveler sat quietly at the edge, not wanting to disturb the song. The melodies floated up from beneath the water, carried on no wind, formed by no visible instrument. They were pure tones, long and deep, wrapped in layers of soft echoes. It was not music meant to be danced to or sung. It was music meant to be felt, and the traveler felt it, each note wrapped around their bones like a weighted blanket, sinking deeper into their chest, soothing aches they hadn't realized were still there. The melodies were ancient and kind. They carried the echoes of things the world had forgotten: how to breathe slowly, how to love quietly, how to listen fully. They seemed to speak in a language that didn't use words, and yet the traveler understood. Memories rose gently to the surface of their mind, not harsh or jarring, just soft moments, once buried deep beneath years of doing, going, achieving, proving. Now they floated up like lanterns on water, or hand held in the dark, a quiet morning alone with tea, the hush after a storm. These memories were music too, and the lake recognized them, folded them into its melody, and gave them back as warmth. The traveler dipped their fingers into the lake. Immediately, a wave of sound surrounded them, not overwhelming, but intimate, a personal song. The water responded to their touch, singing their soul back to them, note by note, like a lullaby written long ago and forgotten. They closed their eyes, and the world dissolved into vibration and color. They weren't alone. Shapes shimmered just beneath the surface, graceful beings of water and light, moving in rhythm with the music. Perhaps they were the composers, or perhaps they were the music itself. They moved slowly, like dancers drifting through honey, their limbs leaving trails of sound behind them. Their eyes were closed, and yet they saw everything. One of them rose closer to the surface, pausing just beneath the water. The traveler gazed down, and the being gazed up, their faces inches apart, separated only by the water's thin skin. And though no words were spoken, understanding passed between them. You are remembered. You are a note in the song. You are part of the stillness. The traveler did not cry. There was no need. There was no sorrow in the music. Only peace. Only remembering. Only return. As the being descended again into the glowing depths, the song softened into a single sustained note, long and low, like the heartbeat of the world. The lake grew still once more. The traveler sat back, leaning against the smooth stone behind them. Their eyes fluttered closed, their breath matching the rhythm of the cavern. There was no hurry, no next step, no destination. Just this moment, just this music. And as the melodies of the deep cradled them in stillness, the traveler drifted, neither fully awake nor entirely asleep. They floated in a space where sound became silence, and silence became song, and Atlantis sang on, beneath the sea, beneath time, beneath the noise of the world. The traveler left the music of the deep behind, though its echoes still lingered in their chest like a gentle hum. The path ahead curved upward once more, leading them back toward the surface of Atlantis, but not to the places they had already seen. No, this path led elsewhere, somewhere quieter still, if such a thing could be imagined. The air grew cooler as they climbed, the sky now a deep velvet blue. Stars shimmered softly above, and the moon, large, luminous, impossibly close, seemed to drift beside them, like a silent companion. Around them, the city pulsed faintly, its glow dimmed into soft candlelight, as if Atlantis too were preparing to sleep. Eventually, they arrived at a grove on a gentle hill, nestled in the arms of whispering trees. At the grove's center stood an object unlike anything the traveler had seen. A tall oval mirror framed in silver vines that shimmered with dew. But this was no ordinary mirror. It did not reflect the world behind the traveler. Instead, its surface rippled gently like water, and within it swirled images not of the present, but of the past. This was the mirror of memory. The traveler approached slowly, almost reverently. There were no signs, no warnings, only stillness. The mirror waited patiently, as if it had waited for lifetimes. As they drew closer, the mirror's surface shifted again, and in its depths something familiar appeared. A child. The traveler recognized the face instantly. It was their own from long ago. There they were, sitting beneath a tree on a warm afternoon, drawing shapes in the dirt with a stick, humming a tune without words. The memory was so small, so ordinary, and yet now, watching it from afar, it shimmered with meaning. More memories surfaced, soft, delicate, unfolding like petals in slow motion. The traveler saw moments of quiet kindness, a grandparent's warm hands wrapping around their own, a friend's laugh echoing across a playground, a moment of solitude by a window, rain tapping gently against the glass as they lost themselves in a book. None of these memories had seemed important at the time, but now, viewed through the mirror's tender lens, they were treasures, quiet lights still glowing in the deepest parts of their being. As the images continued to unfold, the traveler noticed something curious. With each memory, they felt lighter, not because they were letting go, but because they were gathering parts of themselves they had forgotten. Pieces they hadn't even realized were missing. The mirror wasn't here to show them what had passed. It was here to remind them of who they still were, underneath everything life had layered over them. And then, unexpectedly, a heavier memory appeared. Not painful exactly, just tender, a goodbye, a time when they had tried and failed, a person they had once loved deeply who had slipped away through time or distance or silence. The traveler braced themselves for the ache, but the mirror did not judge, it simply showed, and the traveler, seeing their younger self grieve and grow, did not feel shame, but compassion. They wanted to reach into the glass and hold that version of themselves, whispering, "You did your best. You were always enough." A warmth bloomed in their chest, not from the mirror, but from within. More memories floated up now, not as events, but as feelings, moments of courage, forgiveness, choosing peace over pride, smiling through uncertainty. All those small choices, unnoticed at the time, now shimmered like constellations. The traveler realized they had lived more fully than they had ever given themselves credit for. The mirror, sensing the fullness of this realization, began to glow more softly. Its surface stilled, and for a moment it reflected only the traveler's current self, tired, quiet, but whole. The face staring back at them was not broken or lost. It was simply human and deeply, beautifully alive. The traveler bowed their head, not in sorrow but in gratitude, and the mirror, ever gentle, rippled once more before fading to stillness, as if to say, "Rest now. You have remembered enough." The traveler stepped back, feeling the hush of the grove press in around them like a soft blanket. The trees whispered again, their leaves catching starlight, and the breeze kissed the traveler's cheek with the tenderness of a lullaby. They sat beneath the mirror, leaning against a mossy stone, eyes fluttering closed. The past had spoken, the heart had listened, and in the arms of memory, the traveler fell gently into deeper sleep. The traveler woke from a sleep so deep they almost couldn't tell where the dream ended and the waking world began. They opened their eyes slowly, as though unsure of their surroundings, but the grove remained, wrapped in quiet light. The mirror had vanished, leaving behind only the soft glow of the stars and the moon, as if nothing had ever changed. And yet something had. The air felt different now, thicker, more tangible. There was a hum in the atmosphere, a feeling that the universe itself was drawing in a slow, steady breath. The wind whispered through the trees, softer than before, like a lullaby winding its way through the night. The traveler stood and followed the path leading down from the grove, their feet brushing over soft grass and moss. The world around them felt closer, more intimate, as if it was folding in around them, inviting them to slow down. They came to a cliff that overlooked the ocean, the water far below shimmering in the pale moonlight. The ocean's surface was calm, almost eerily so, reflecting the night sky perfectly, as though it held the secrets of the stars in its depths. The breeze carried with it the scent of salt and something older, deeper, a memory, perhaps, of the earth itself. It was here, standing at the edge of the cliff, that the traveler heard it, a soft melodic sound, rising from the sea like a song sung by the earth. It was the sound of waves lapping gently against the shore, but it was also something more. A rhythm, a heartbeat that seemed to pulse with the universe itself. And then the waves began to shift in a slow, graceful motion. They didn't crash or roar. No, the water moved with the patience of something eternal. Each wave rolling forward, then retreating, leaving behind a trace of foam that sparkled in the moonlight. The traveler stepped closer, drawn toward the water's edge. The tide whispered something they could not quite hear, a voice only felt. It seemed to beckon them, calling them to something deeper, something they could not yet understand. As they stood at the cliff's edge, they felt the pull of the tide, not physically, but in their soul. The ocean, ancient and wise, had a way of stirring the deepest parts of their being, and for the first time since they had arrived in Atlantis, the traveler felt the weight of something long carried, something unspoken. The water's rhythm echoed in their chest, a gentle reminder of the pull that tides have over all things, even those who are not made of water. The traveler stood still, letting the sound fill them, letting it calm the storms inside. The waves, slow and persistent, seemed to urge them to do the very thing they had feared, to release. Release the past, release the pain, release the things they had clung to for far too long. Let go. The traveler closed their eyes, breathing deeply, allowing the tide's steady rhythm to guide their thoughts. They began to focus on the weight of the emotions they had carried, the guilt, the regret, the unspoken fears. Each one felt like a stone, lodged deep within their chest, heavier with every passing year. Let go. The water's gentle song became a melody of surrender. With each breath, the traveler felt a piece of themselves loosen, drift, and fall away. The guilt, like a stone, began to soften, breaking into smaller, lighter pieces. The regret, once sharp and jagged, smoothed into something softer, less heavy. And the fears, oh the fears, they too, like the tide, receded, pulled away by an invisible force. They felt the release deep within, a letting go that was not a loss, but a return. The traveler's breath grew lighter, smoother, their body relaxing in rhythm with the waves. The sound of the sea grew louder, like a chorus now, a song that filled the night and echoed in the traveler's soul. The moon above shimmered with an ethereal glow, and the ocean stretched wide and endless before them, as if it held the entire world in its embrace. In that moment, the traveler understood. The ocean did not hold on to anything. It moved, it flowed, it let go with each wave. It didn't resist change. It didn't fight the ebb and flow of time. And in its acceptance, in its surrender, the ocean had found peace. The traveler took one last deep breath and released everything, letting it drift away on the tide. They didn't need to carry those stones anymore. When they opened their eyes again, the world was different. The sea stretched endlessly before them, yes, but it no longer felt like an unknown force. It was a part of them now, as familiar as their own breath. The traveler had let go, and in doing so, they had found the stillness they had been searching for. The waves continued their slow, endless dance, rising and falling, falling and rising, never rushing, never demanding, simply being. The traveler smiled softly, a sense of deep peace settling over them. The traveler smiled softly, a sense of deep peace settling over them. They turned away from the ocean, knowing that the tides would always be there, but they would no longer be afraid of them, no longer afraid of letting go, As the traveler turned away from the ocean, they felt a strange, quiet lightness in their heart. The tide had washed away the burdens they had carried for so long, and now, in the soft glow of the moonlit night, they felt free. The air seemed to hum with promise, as if the universe itself was guiding them forward, step by step, toward a new beginning. The path from the cliff led upward again, winding through the soft grass and the glowing trees, each one seemingly more alive than before. Their leaves shimmered with the softest light, as if the world itself had been kissed by the stars. The traveler walked slowly, each footfall light, as though the earth was supporting them, cradling them gently in its embrace. As they climbed, the sky above deepened into an even richer blue, and the stars twinkled brighter, their light a comforting, familiar presence. There was no hurry now, no urgency. The traveler moved with the rhythm of the night, breathing in the cool, fresh air, feeling the warmth of the ground beneath their feet. The world around them felt like a dream, but a dream they had somehow always known. A dream that was both soft and strong, peaceful and full of promise. They didn't need to rush anymore. They had already come so far. As they reached the top of the hill, they found themselves standing in a meadow, bathed in the golden light of the rising sun. The first rays of morning kissed the earth, bringing warmth and life to everything they touched. The sky was painted in hues of pink, orange, and lavender, and the world seemed to sigh with contentment. At the center of the meadow stood a great ancient tree, its branches reaching high toward the heavens. The tree was magnificent, its trunk thick and sturdy, its leaves glowing softly in the light of the dawn, and at the foot of the tree a bench sat waiting, as though it had been placed there just for the traveler. The traveler smiled and walked toward it, sitting down with a deep sense of peace. They closed their eyes, feeling the warmth of the sun on their skin and the cool breeze that whispered through the grass. The moment felt perfect, complete in a way they had never known before. It was as if they had found their place in the world, a place where they could simply be. The tree above them seemed to hum with life, and the breeze carried the scent of wildflowers and earth, fresh and clean. It was a scent of renewal, of beginnings, and of the soft promise of more to come. The traveler felt a sense of gratitude rise within them, as if they had been given a gift of stillness, of knowing that everything would be okay. The world around them shimmered with quiet joy, and the traveler could hear the song of the birds high above, the rustle of the leaves in the trees, and the soft rhythmic hum of the earth itself. All of it was a melody, a symphony of life, and they were part of it, woven into the very fabric of the world. For the first time in what felt like forever, the traveler felt at peace with themselves and with the world. They had come through the darkness, they had let go, and now they stood in the light, and in this moment there was nothing more to do. There was only being. The travelers smiled softly to themselves, their heart full of quiet joy, as they watched the sun rise higher in the sky, spilling golden light over the meadow and the world beyond. The horizon was endless, full of possibility, and yet, for now, there was no need to look beyond this moment. It was enough. They were enough. As the sun rose fully, casting its warmth over the world, the traveler let their eyes close once more. The sounds of the world, the hum of life, the quiet rhythm of the earth, all wrapped around them like a blanket, soft and comforting. The traveler had found their way back to themselves, And in that peaceful moment, they knew that no matter what the future held, they would face it with the calm of someone who had learned to let go, to trust, and to live in harmony with the world around them. The sun, the earth, the trees, the sky, it all whispered a final lullaby, and the traveler drifted gently, peacefully, into a deep and restful sleep. Good night, dear soul. May your heart be light and your dreams be full of peace.